We begin the week of July 27th with a high quality workout of 2 kilometer hill circuits. These are written as 85%, and by now, when you see 85%, you recognize that as threshold. However, in this workout, we're going to toggle between aerobic threshold and anaerobic threshold. The hill component will make sure of that. If you are trying to run something at aerobic threshold to where you're going as fast as you can, producing your energy aerobically, you're not crossing that line to where you're starting to produce lactic acid, that's pretty easy. It's nice, smooth, comfortably hard running on flat ground. When we throw in significant hills into that, now it's hard to keep it there. And you're going to go up, unless you slow down significantly, when you hit that hill, you're going to start breathing harder, your muscular tension is going to go up, and you're going to go to that anaerobic threshold. It's possible in this workout, depending on how fast you're running and how steep the hills are, you might go completely anaerobic, but just for a short time, and you'll get recovered and come back down to your aerobic threshold. Y2K, why are we doing 2 kilometers of anything? The reason for that is twofold. One, to be completely forthright, we have an awesome 2 kilometer hill circuit that we like to use, but it's also a nice distance because it keeps you off balance. And workouts that keep you off balance a little bit, where you have to figure out how hard can I go, how hard is hard enough, how hard is too hard, usually you end up getting a better workout from those. And 2 kilometers is a little bit too long to go into your mile repeat gear, but it's definitely too short to go in your 3-mile steady state gear. So it's in that middle ground, and then we throw the hills into that, and you're going to be off balance, getting a great training effect. We're doing the hills because it increases your aerobic pressure, so your lungs are getting worked, but it also increases your muscular tension, so your legs are getting worked. And that muscular tension is very important. For those of you who might be a little newer, to describe muscular tension, if you think about a bicep curl and you think about doing bicep curls with 10 pounds, okay, for most of you, that's not too big a deal. You feel some tension, certainly, but it's not a big deal. We go to 15 pounds. Right away, even before you get through that first rep, you can feel the additional muscular tension. We go to 20 pounds. And every increment that we go up, you can tell this is a lot harder, and I'm not going to be at this nearly as long as I was at the lighter weight. We want to do the same thing to your legs because that is the last limiting factor in the marathon, and to a lesser extent, the half marathon. If you think about mile and 5K racing, think about how heavy you're breathing, how fast your respiratory rate is. And then we go to mile 9 or 10 in a half marathon, or mile 18 to 22 in a marathon. And you might be breathing hard, especially in the half. For the marathon, you're probably not breathing all that hard between 18 and 22, at least comparatively to mile, 5K, even 10K, because your limiting factor, the longer the race, is your legs. So we want to make sure that we're working those specifically so you can maintain a higher level of muscular tension for a longer period of time. And that's going to allow you to race faster. There was a point where nutrition, taking in carbohydrate, was your limiting factor. Now that's just a matter of figuring out your long run lab, figuring out how much that you can take in, sugar, salt, and water. And that removes that as the primary barrier. It will come down to how fast you can run, because that's what leads to the muscular tension, and how long can you do that. So that's why this workout is fantastic for marathon and half marathon. And it's great for 800 meters, mile, 5K, 10K, everything else. When we tax your legs and your lungs in the way that we're doing this, it's going to benefit you at any distance. This workout has stamina, the ability to maintain a pace. It has economy, raising your top end ability, raising your VO2. How efficient are you at increased speeds? And it is a speed neuromuscular workout. As you're working and grinding up that hill and then come flying down the hill, that is speed training. That is testing your neuromuscular system and training it to be comfortable running faster. So all of these are addressed in hill circuits. It's also a fantastic workout, as many are, for mental training. And we all give this lip service, but I invite you to not only give it lip service and to think about it academically, but internalize that racing and training are so much about your mindset and your mental approach to them. So some opportunities with this workout. Anytime you hear a coach say opportunity, you know that there's going to be pain and suffering and heavy breathing involved in that. So yes, I recognize the use of that term. The opportunity is enter this workout with a great attitude. It is pretty easy to see something daunting like this and grumble and mumble and wonder, how did you get yourself into this situation? How did I raise my hand for this? But choosing your attitude of, this is a great opportunity for me to get better. This is a great opportunity to challenge myself. And to take on that challenge and say, I understand this workout. Here's how this is supposed to feel. Here's the effort I'm supposed to give it. And I'm going to take on that challenge and give it the right effort. There was a point in college where I ran every workout as hard as I possibly could. That didn't lead to my best racing. My best racing came after that, when I figured out the right effort for today is this, for today it's this, for today it's this. And when I could figure out right effort, right day, I didn't feel like I was training nearly as hard, because I wasn't, but I got faster. So make sure that we're doing the right effort. With the workout like this, where you're going uphill or you're going downhill, or maybe there's a little bit of flat in there, staying focused. And 2 kilometers is also a tough distance to stay as focused as you need to be. And on this workout for our hill circuit, we have basically a quarter mile up, quarter mile down, about a quarter mile of false flat. It's kind of going up a little bit, but because of the big hills, you don't notice it as much. Back to another quarter mile up and a quarter mile down. To stay focused and keep the pressure on throughout that 2 kilometers is a challenge. And it's a challenge with any workout or any race, is, can I stay focused in this and give my best right effort throughout the workout? But also reward yourself mentally for this. You might get through this workout and it was rough. Maybe it wasn't your best work, but you tried. You gave it your best effort to do what you started out and set out to do. And maybe you got to performance. Maybe you had a fantastic workout. And for those of you who have been around a little while, you've done this workout a few times every year. So you can go back and look, and hopefully you're not comparing a really hot day to a nice cool day. Though it does seem we do this workout more in the heat than we do in the cold. But you might get both of those rewards. Can you check the effort box? Can you check the performance box? You don't always get the performance box. Hopefully you do, because performance generally follows effort, but you might have just given a fantastic effort and maybe you didn't get the performance this time. But the more times that you can check, I gave the right effort for this, you have to be getting better. So that is a reward in this as well. And just getting through workouts like this. I know when you leave Eagle Creek on a Saturday morning, or you leave the Art Center on a Tuesday night, there's a special feeling of, whew, I'm glad that's behind me. I'm glad I don't see Matt for a couple more days. So enjoy that. Reward yourself for getting through such a workout. We go to the moderate quality workout. Okay, this one was a lot more fun. This is 3-2-1 minutes of fast threshold running. Begs the question of, what's your threshold pace? There is no such thing. When people talk about that, internally I go, they're probably not training in too many sophisticated ways, because there shouldn't be just one threshold pace. This is threshold running, and you're going to have different threshold paces for the 3s, the 2s, and the 1s. So don't go into this thinking, well, my 5 mile steady state pace was this. That's not what we're running. You're running as fast as you can while staying aerobic. You should feel strong throughout the whole 3 minute, 2 minute, or 1 minute. If in the 3 you get to 220 and you're really struggling that last 40 seconds, you went too fast. So dial back just a little bit. But you also shouldn't feel like at the end of the 3, I could have gone 5 minutes at that effort with no problem. We want to be running out of good feeling and feeling strong at 3, 2, or 1, depending on which one you're on. There is a 2-minute recovery jog after each of these, and you can do that slow-mo, completely relaxed, get as much recovery as you can in that 2 minutes. You don't need to go any slower than you need to recover, but I would rather the recoveries be slower and the 3, 2, 1 be faster. So keep that in mind. Do you have to walk the recovery? If you get done with that 2 minutes and I need to walk for 10, 15, 20 seconds, then you went too fast. You don't need to walk if you're staying aerobic and doing this. The other thing is you're letting up mentally. And does this workout get hugely affected if you walk the 2-minute recovery? No, there's still really good benefit to it. But going back to what we talked about over here, we're training the brain as well. And if you can go through 3 minutes of pretty fast running and continue to jog and not walk a step, you're training your brain that under duress, we keep going. It's just not a question. And that is such a habit thing that if you get used to walking recoveries, you've trained yourself to need to walk. So get away from that. And that's not to say that if somebody's doing run walk to get through a long run or because they just enjoy doing it that way, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're training to run a marathon or run a half marathon, then there's no need to walk on those recoveries. Long run this week is an endurance long run. For most of you, you're going up 1 to 2 miles. Maybe that's given to you in a range. Maybe 2 weeks ago you ran 12 miles. This week it might be 12 to 14 miles. Try to add to that if you can. We're in that time of year where, depending on which Saturday you pick recently, you either had great weather or terrible weather. So that may impact that as well. When we're doing endurance long runs, obviously we're trying to build endurance, your ability to continue to go. The first goal, get through the long run distance. The second goal is to increase the training effect. And you increase the training effect by going a little bit faster. Did you go too fast? Well, how we know that is we judge everything by recovery. If you did this on Saturday and you're scheduled for another high quality workout the next Tuesday, if you're not ready to go Tuesday, then you overcooked it. You need to dial back a little bit. So figure that out, and it will depend on how your legs feel that day. It's not always going to be the same pace, much like threshold pace. Yeah, there's a long run pace range, but it will depend on how you're feeling, what the weather is, what the distance is, how your week's gone to that point, all of those factors. So get through it. No point in going any slower than you need to if you can get recovered in time for your next stressor the following week. So we have a nice mix of things. We're training the body and the head. Have a great week.